This is our list of all 31 active commercial-stage oncology-focused biopharmas with market caps of less than $7 billion, dated as of Friday, February 7, 2025, including market cap at the close in this column per Yahoo Finance, followed by their cash and debt as of September 30, 2024 to yield their current enterprise values. All amounts are in millions. Now folks, mind you, it's now been 4 months since the end of Q3. Some have released year-end cash balances that are not reflected here. Others have had equity or royalty financings where updated or pro forma cash and debt are also not reflected here. Q4 is that one quarter every year where we wait an extra month for most of these companies to close the books and update the public. In this column we note the date of their first FDA-approved cancer therapy. For those with market caps under $7 billion, only Blueprint Medicines scored a second cancer therapy approval for a drug called Gavrito that was out-licensed to Rigel Pharmaceuticals. Hence all of these have only one FDA-approved therapy. Perhaps Syndax has 1.5. By the way, if we are wrong and one of these has 2 FDA-approved cancer drugs, please let us know. We do not follow every single one of these 31 in great detail. SpringWorks has a PDUFA date later this month for a second major therapy, although not a cancer. UroGen has a June PDUFA for a second therapy that, as we understand, is essentially the same API called mitomycin and the same delivery method. We are including Replimune on our list, but its RP1 candidate has a July 22 PDUFA date. To be crystal clear, Replimune is still pre-commercial stage. Folks, we're going to show a graph of share prices since July 1, 2024 on those with market caps north of $400 million to $7 billion. We'd note it's our non-professional experience in biopharma that oncology-focused valuation changes historically always outperform non-oncology. It appears this has not been the case recently. Here are the changes in share price in dollars and as a percent. Only 8 of 30, or call it 1 of 4, are trading higher today than 7 months ago. Remember, Citius spun their oncology drug off into a separate company. Okay, first on our list here is Blueprint Medicines. Blueprint more or less traded in a range just under $100 in the second half of 2024. On January 12 of this year, Blueprint issued a press release providing an outlook for 2025 that sent its share price up roughly 20% north of 115 before pulling back. On Friday, February 7, Blueprint was off $4.64 a share. The XBI was off more than 2% for the day. While we have no idea what will happen to Blueprint's share price from here, it's always been considered a strong M&A candidate. Last year, Blueprint said they believe Evokit to be a $2 billion a year therapy. It appears Evokit is patented through October 15, 2034. Next up is NovoCure. Yes, technically not a traditional biopharma like the others on our list, but we always considered NovoCure's Tumor Treating Fields Therapy or TTF devices offering a like valuation opportunity. NovoCure skyrocketed after solid phase 3 data in colorectal cancer was published in early December. This was well after getting the nod in non-small cell lung cancer in Q3, but NovoCure has clearly trended down since. We suspect at some point it will flip. Merus scored their first FDA approval December 4, 2024, but they continue to trade lower now, down 30% from their July peak. SpringWorks will be hands down our favorite in this peer group if their mirdametinib is approved later this month. SpringWorks will join an exclusive club if it gets a second major drug approved, whether technically oncology or not. If analysts are right and SpringWorks' 2028 revenue forecast is in the $1.2 to $1.5 billion range, and if SpringWorks Ogsiveo and mirdametinib warrant median peer revenue multiples, then shareholders should do very well if acquired this year. Mind you, Pfizer owns between a mid-single digit to low 20% of SpringWorks product revenues via permanent royalties. We've asked for more details, but SpringWorks IR would not provide them. Hence, whatever you believe SpringWorks is worth, take off your estimate of Pfizer's ownership. Iovance is the biggest head-scratcher of the peer group. Iovance guided investors to expect $450 to $475 million in 25 revenues, its second full year on the market just in the US and just in second-line melanoma. Iovance still does not have the gross-to-net issue to manage, which makes modeling somewhat simpler. Otherwise, like SpringWorks, if analyst 28 revenue estimates of $1.4 to $1.5 billion are in the ballpark, and if Iovance is worth peer median revenue multiples, then Iovance may offer the best risk-reward profile in this peer group. We'd only caution you to remember Iovance projects 70% gross margins where peers that sell pills are in the 90s. This will have a consequence on valuation. At the same time, remember not gross to net. We'd also remind you Iovance still expects a major data read in certain lung cancers later this year. 2 months ago, Geron's share price graph looked like a gentle and safe hill for young children to sled down all by themselves without a parent, but recently the slope has not been subtle. Geron's risk-reward profile is very simple. Geron's Readalo is expected by everyone to do $1 to $1.2 billion at peak. It is not a complex story because there are only so many drugs for MDS. Geron's potential upside could come in 2026 when a data read could add 150% to its TAM. We do not follow ImmunityBio in any great detail, though their science appears quite impressive. Otherwise, and don't take this to the bank, but we were alarmed when Immunity Bio's CEO made a comment at the end of a recent investor presentation about access to cash in the future that spooked us. Of course we may have interpreted him incorrectly. Immunocore peaked at $75 a share in February 2024. Immunocore's Kimmtrak was approved in January 2022 and is doing $300 million a year today in its sleep. We have no idea how Immunocore will trade from here, but it is generating cash and, at $31 a share, is not 3.5 times its sales at 99% gross margin today. Immunocore has numerous late-stage data reads over the next 2 years. Day 1 popped to $16.49 after reporting a solid Q3 but has since traded lower with its peers. Watch our video on YouTube on why we find it absurd Day 1 seriously believes it can do better as an independent than exiting via M&A. Analysts think OGMD can do $1 billion a year by its 5th year on the market. Recall Lazard noted a median year 5 peer M&A revenue of 4.0 from ImmunoGen's peer group. If OGMD's clinical and financial value proposition warrant a peer M&A multiple, that'd be a $4 billion enterprise value. This is roughly 6 times Day 1's current enterprise value. We're outraged they are rolling the dice with Day-301 when they know 95 to 98% of new cancer drugs fail. Why are they not seeking a buyer? Hey folks, of course we could be wrong, but none of these are our data points. We're simply connecting some dots here. Next up is Syndax. Syndax owns a 50% share of Niktimvo approved for chronic graft-versus-host disease. Niktimvo's clinical profile per the FDA is almost exactly consistent with Kadmon's Rezurock. Here they are side by side. List prices are within 5% as well. Recall Kadmon was acquired for $1.9 billion 7 weeks after FDA approval. We also know Syndax sold a 13.8% royalty on Niktimvo sales for $350 million, valuing the drug at $2.36 billion, so Niktimvo is perhaps worth somewhere between the two. Again, Syndax owns 50% of Niktimvo. Syndax's revumenib was approved in November. Comm'l-Oncology and its ziftomenib appears a great peer for revumenib valuation potential. Recall Kyowa Kirin purchased half of ziftomenib in the US and 100% of its global rights, valuing ziftomenib pre-approval just north of $1 billion. In an approved form maybe you add 50%? You do your own math, but at $15.50 a share, Syndax's enterprise value is about $1 billion. Next on our list is Zymeworks. Recall Zymeworks will earn roughly a 20% royalty on zanidatamab sales. Jazz was quoted as saying they believe zanidatamab is a $2 billion a year therapy. To say Autolus' share price decline has been disappointing would be a gross understatement. From its peak at $4.80, Autolus is off 6%. At $2 a share, Autolus' market cap is $540 million when it ended Q3 with $657 million cash in the bank and no debt. Don't forget Blackstone invested $150 million for a single-digit royalty of OBE-cel. If the royalty is 5%, that would have valued OBE-cel at the time at $3 billion. A 10% royalty would be $1.5 billion. Whatever you think OBE-cel is worth, don't forget to add Autolus cash. Analysts appear quite confident OBE-cel is easily a $300 million a year therapy. What else do you say? UroGen closed a $108 million financing last June at $17.50 a share. UroGen has been trading in the $10 to $11 a share range as of late, off roughly 40% from last July's valuation. Recall Gelmito was approved in April 2020 and is peaking at roughly $100 million a year. Will UGN-102 be approved in June? UroGen pegs the opportunity at 10 times Gelmito. Will Gelmito's next-generation therapies protect them from the patent challenges? We do not know what will happen. We're only reminding you accredited investors, knowing all of UroGen's challenges, wrote big checks at $17.50 a share not 8 months ago. Delcath is the only white-hot stock in this peer group, now up 200% from its share price at FDA approval. Delcath's market cap is up about 700%, but unavoidable dilution means the market cap gains and share price gains are not linear. Still, many analysts believe Delcath will go much higher. Delcath is a somewhat easy business to model as they add more sites quarter after quarter. Y-mAbs is a head-scratcher and not 2 months ago had a market cap well over $400 million, so we'll keep the graph. We are unaware of any specific data release since early November. From its intraday peak of roughly $16 a share in early November, Y-mAbs has traded down over 60% since. Danyelza has been on the market since its approval in November 2020. Y-mAbs' quarterly revenue profile almost mirrors UroGen's Gelmito. Don't forget Oppenheimer was just quoted as saying Y-mAbs SADA platform the most advanced pre-targeting platform in development of targeted radiopharmaceutical therapies. On January 21, 2025, Replimune announced the FDA accepted their BLA filing and assigned a priority review to its RP1 candidate for second-line advanced melanoma. If approved, RP1 will compete with Iovance TIL. Unfortunately, there are more than enough patients for both of them. During a June 2024 investor presentation, a Replimune key opinion leader said she believed the RP1 TIL split will be 80-20. Of course the coal is paid by Replimune. We'd last remind you Replimune closed a $13 a share financing last Thanksgiving after announcing their RP1 BLA submission. We're going to quickly point out Coherus even though their market cap falls under our market cap scope. Coherus just sold their euthanasia therapy for an upfront payment of just under $500 million, then paid off 2 trachees of its debt. Incidentally, do you think anyone knew the sale was coming and traded accordingly? Whatever the case, by our math Coherus has an adjusted cash debt profile of almost $300 million. Coherus market cap is not $130 million at $112 a share. 5 years ago if you had said a commercial stage oncology focused bio with the FDA approved PD-1 would trade for less than cash, we would have said you were crazy. With a number of meaningful clinical data reads over the next 18 months, and while this is not investment advice, we'd think Coherus risk-reward profile is compelling, especially should they report strong data in any program. What do you think of this peer group? Remember, we never offer investment advice, but some believe commercial stage oncology offers compelling wealth creation strategies over the next few years, with most other markets being sky high. We would sincerely appreciate any thoughts or speculation on any of these. Please let us know in the comments. Please take a moment to like and share this video. Even better, follow us. You see, we do not have many followers on YouTube nor elsewhere, so it would mean a lot. Thank you.